For the first part of your Cubism guitar project, you're going to be placing pieces of sheet music throughout your paper, and you can do this really in a variety of ways. I wouldn't really divide it into pieces that are too small, but you can think about maybe shooting for 4 to 6 pieces. If 4 looks too empty, you can always go in and add some more. I'm going to add my final piece right up here. When we're adding glue to the sheet music, remember to use a small series of dots. This paper is relatively thin. You really don't need very much glue. So I added glue to the edge, and then again just applying a little bit of pressure to help it attach. At this point I have 4 pieces of the sheet music spread pretty evenly throughout my picture. You'll notice that I used a variety of edges, some straight edges, some curved pieces in the corner, and if I wanted to go in and maybe add a couple more, maybe one right here in the middle, I certainly could. Step 2, however, is to outline your pieces. And as I outline them, I'm going to extend that line and just bring it across to the other side of the paper. So as I'm going, kind of color back and forth, making sure it's nice and dark. As I'm going throughout my picture with my outlines, I'm going to be running into those other shapes. A little bit of glue seeping out here, but I think I can kind of color around it. And again, just noticing that I'm keeping that line nice and dark. And again, just like the sheet music, I have kind of a rough idea of how many sections I want to have, but you don't want to overdo it. You don't want to have so many that it's going to become confusing to paint later, but you do want to have kind of a balanced amount of sections to the picture. I'm going to go in and kind of continue these. And at this point, all of my pieces of music are divided, but I have quite a lot of empty space in the center and some empty spaces at the top as well. So I'm just going to use my crayon and create my own dividing lines until I have a somewhat balanced amount of small spaces, large spaces, curved lines, straight lines, and then I'll maybe just do one more up at the top. So this is relatively balanced. Again, we're not dividing it like a checkerboard. You don't want it to be quite that even or controlled. And once you have this done, you're going to be moving on to watercolor paint. You'll notice that my example that I finished, I used cool colors. I just used purple, blue, and green, kind of a light lime green, for the entire image. So you can kind of choose your own color category. You don't need to choose cool colors or warm colors, but try to stick with maybe 3 or 4 colors for your entire work of art, just to have that consistency and unity throughout your picture. So for mine, I'm going to start with red, and again, think of balance. Think about how you want these colors to be balanced throughout your picture. You don't want all of your red in one area. I'm going to start right in the middle, using that crayon line as kind of a force field to protect the other sections that are next door. And then I would continue using my first color in other areas of my picture. Let's put in this small spot for now. And then again, using my brush to fill in that area. After I finish maybe 4 or 5 areas with my first color, I would move on to the next color and so on. Use color number 2 in about 4 or 5 sections. And as I go, there may be a need to add some more of those dividing lines. If I just feel like the spaces are too big for just one color, using that black crayon again to pull in some other smaller shapes to divide up your picture. So you'll be doing this until the entire space of white paper is filled in. Try to avoid getting paint on the sheet music if at all possible. And again, just kind of remember to try to keep that color, the shapes, and the sheet music balance throughout your whole picture.